Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for joining me again for another live community chat here on my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Angela. I'm a full time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and my channel is dedicated to those of you just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I share with you tips and tricks and techniques that I use every day in my own voiceover business. And then we get together weekly in these weekly community chats. And these chats all come from your comments and questions. So if you have something you would like to talk about, leave it in the comments and maybe we'll talk about it in upcoming weeks. If you're not new here, then you know, of course, every week we have a new topic of chat. And today it is, how often do you audition for audiobooks? And what we're going to talk about today are a little bit of some tips, I suppose, about getting into auditioning for audiobooks on ACX in particular. And then you could probably use some of these tips to audition elsewhere, but we're going to be focusing on ACX, which is a arm of Amazon. This is the website where authors and narrators come together to create books for Audible. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So I wanted to see really quick what you guys were saying in terms of votes. We've got 24 votes. We got some changing minds. 25 votes. Okay. 32% of you said you audition up to 10 auditions a day. I'm sorry, 32% of you said that. 22% of you said 1 to 10 a week. 7% of you said 30 to 50 a month. And 37% of you said I haven't auditioned at all yet. And of course, these polls sort of give me a pulse on where everybody watching is at. So I know what to talk about. So it looks like the vast majority of you have yet to audition. So I'm hoping something today will help you in moving forward with auditioning on ACX, if it is available to you in your country. All right, so let's see if I can do this seamlessly. First, we're going to talk about some of the... Hold on. I'm still learning how to do all this stuff, and I need 2 screens. That's not big enough. Let's do this one. There we go. All right, so this is a blog on ACX. It is called Everything You've Always Wanted to Know About Samples, but Were Afraid to Ask. And I find there's some really helpful information in this blog. And this was posted on 2013, this blog. But according to this blog on ACX, it says 40% of projects on ACX are booked without an audition. So it's also important to make sure that you have samples on your profile. And I wanted to touch on samples because samples are just as important as auditions. And they do also say that if you don't have any audiobooks yet produced and you want to post a sample on your profile, it's okay to use a small portion of a book from your shelf. In the rare case that the book's rights holder notices and contacts us, we reserve the right to remove the sample. So there you go. I get that question a lot. What do I post as a sample? Or you could also go to a site, gutenberg.org. This is a site where books in the public domain live. So you could use a book out of copyright, right? Books in the public domain also as a sample. They're just as important as auditions, I think, the samples. And so what we're going to do, I also wanted to touch on some of the legal independent contractor forms and things, but we'll see if we have time for that. Everything that you basically want to know about auditioning or anything else, submission requirements, I mean, everything that you want to know is on ACX somewhere, either in their help forum. They have tons of information, ACX University. There's videos that you can watch that go through all of these things as well. So there isn't a question that you can't get answered on ACX, is what I'm saying. There's tons of information there. Okay, so let's see if we can switch this seamlessly. Probably not, but let's just see if I can. Bear with me. Okay, I think what we're gonna do, okay, we're gonna hop over to the titles accepting auditions page. So once you're on ACX and you have a profile or an account, right? From your dashboard, you just go to, they revised the layout of the website and made it much more easy to find things. You just go to find projects, and I recommend clearing the filters before you start looking. And I'll show you why in a second. But I think clearing the filters before you start, and possibly even, actually, let's refresh this really quick because there have been about 20 books or 20 titles added since I opened up this web page. So let's just refresh this really quick. Oh, it's still the same. But when I first opened this up this morning, there was like 1,150 something. Now there's 1,171 something. Point being, check throughout the day, periodically through the day, because they aren't all posted. These titles aren't all posted at the same time, like midnight every day. They're posted continuously throughout the day. So check back periodically on ACX if you're looking for a specific kind of genre, content. Um, they're changing all day long. Um, when you clear the filters, obviously, I think the one thing that you do want to sort through is the language that you speak, or any of the languages that you speak. In my case, it'll be English. So I'm going to apply that. And the reason I say to only use that one, unless, of course, if you're looking for a specific length, audiobook length, then you can choose that filter as well. For example, if you're looking for books that are 30,000 words, which is roughly about 3 finished hours and less, then you can use that filter too. But I recommend not using as many filters as there are available, because there are some authors that leave some of these options as unspecified. And if you have too many filters, then you might be missing out on those that are unspecified. For example, I saw one earlier. It looks like it's moved down to page 2 now. This one here. The budget is unspecified. So if you were looking for something, specifically maybe per finished hour or specifically royalty share plus, and you had that filter on, this book would not be available to you at all because it's unspecified, right? So use be light, I suppose, on the filters. Okay, so let's go ahead and just clear those filters one more time. I'm going to go back to language. And I wanted to explain what some of these things meant, because I get a lot of questions about um, how, let's see. I'm sure it'll come back to me. Let's just choose one. Let's do this one. The Job Seeker Jammy. That sounds interesting. Okay, so this book is about 18,000 words, roughly about 1.9 finished hours. Keep in mind, it's about 9,300 words equal 1 finished hour. But that finished hour includes all the time to narrate, all the time to edit, all the time to master and format that file. So usually the rule of thumb is, for every finished hour, it takes about, this is going to vary depending on your skill and how quickly you can get these done. But roughly, for every finished hour, it takes about 2 hours to narrate, because you're going to have retakes. You're going to be reading through, rereading, pausing to take water breaks or coffee breaks if you're me, right? There's going to be, give yourself twice as long to narrate each hour. And then for every hour of narration, there's probably upwards of 2 to 5 hours of editing, again, depending on your skill level. And then, also to master and format the file. So every finished hour could potentially be 6, 7 hours, right? You'll eventually want to get to the point where your finished hour to work time ratio is a lot smaller or closer, right? So me, I'm roughly at about, for every finished hour, it takes me about maybe 2 hours, let's just say, maybe 2.5 hours to read, narrate, edit, format, master. And because I have done this so many times, I've sort of got all my systems down pat. But taking that much time is pretty normal in the beginning as you get used to all of these new things. So don't be hard on yourself. It does take you a while to get your first couple books done, because that's pretty normal in the beginning to take some time. The budget for this one is $400 to $1,000 per finished hour. And that's, I got to say, that's one of the highest rates that I've seen in a while. So that's definitely interesting. If you want to find out more about this title, let's just say that this was not a per finished hour title, this was a royalty share title. You would want to come to down here to about the title, click on this tab, and it'll give you all of the title details. So if this book was a royalty share book, what you want to look for is the Amazon sales rank. It looks like this book was just published and it has no rank just yet. It should, but usually the smaller the number for the Amazon sales rank is that it's selling more often than not. It's a popular book. And then, of course, you also want to look at the ratings. Because royalty share, meaning that you get to share in the royalties in that every sale of that book going forward for the next at least 7 years. So you want to make sure that this book is selling well, so you see return on your investment of time, because you don't get any money up front on royalty share. You're just sharing in the sale of every book going forward. So you want to make sure that when you are looking at books that are royalty share, to make sure that they have a good sales rank and that they have decent reviews, right? But this one is a per finished hour job, meaning you get paid regardless if it's selling or not. You get paid per finished hour of your time to narrate, master, produce this book. You could also take a look at the book on Amazon if you wanted to learn more information about the author, about the book itself, if they have any other books maybe that they've written. You could view that title directly on Amazon if you wanted to. Find out more information about the summary. And then also over here on the narrator requirements, and this is where some authors don't specify things. So this is where leaving some of the filters off would behoove you, right? So the genre is business and careers. This is nonfiction. It is in English. They're looking for a male narrator, middle-aged, accent American general, and vocal style authoritative, and any other notes from the rights holder regarding the narration of this book or how they would like it to sound for the audition would be here in the notes. We're looking for an authoritative, business-oriented narrator for this project. We have already recorded and produced 30 videos and are ready to launch on social media, or a social media marketing campaign on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. So they are ready to promote the heck out of this thing. So that's awesome. Basically, that's how you do it. Look, when you're looking for a book, I would be very lenient or light on the, look, there was another one added, very light on the filters, and then just sort of go through and see what is available. There was one that had, let's see if it's still here. There was a book. Here we go. Offer pending. When you see offer pending, that means that there is already an offer made to a narrator by the rights holder. So you might not want to audition for that one, but keep an eye on it if it is something that you want to do, because the offers aren't always automatically accepted by the narrator, right? Sometimes they're declined, or maybe they're too busy, or whatever it was. So keep it in mind and, come back to it later. Keep an eye on it. But if there is something that you find that you want to, let's just check this one out. If there's something that you do want to audition for, you'll find all that information here in the audition tab. You can view it online or you can download it. Sometimes authors will give you a snippet of the book that they would like to use or like to hear as the audition. Sometimes they'll give you a few pages. Sometimes they'll give you the whole darn book. It's not that they want you to narrate all of that if they do give you a lot of copy. It's that they're either A, giving you context so you know what you're talking about, or you sort of have a better idea of who you are as the narrator or that character, what the situation they're in, right? They're giving you context to give you a better opportunity to submit a better audition, right? If they submit the whole dang book, then it could be that they just don't know how to give you a snippet. They're not, not everybody is as savvy as, you may be. So that doesn't mean that they want you to read the whole section. I would say for an audition, 2 to 3 minutes max is sufficient. And then also make sure that you don't have a lot of dead air at the start of your audition, right? Don't make anybody wait for 30 seconds to hear your audition, because that most likely they won't, right? half a second, maybe about a half a second of room tone at the beginning. That said, make sure that your audition is also ACX Standard Compliant. And I'll tell you why, because you're all wondering, why does that matter? Because A, that showcases what the final product will sound like. So the author can hear what you would sound like and your audio quality, all of those things. Final product, this is what it's going to sound like. That's the best representation you can give them, right? And B, because some authors will actually take your audition and put it into ACX's Audio Lab to check and see if you can, in fact, meet ACX's requirements. So it's a good habit, and it's good. It's a good practice to submit all of your auditions as ACX compliant. I have a few videos here on my channel where I go through the various different standards and how to get there if you need help with that in Adobe Audition. What else did I want to mention? Is there anything else that we need to... You guys can ask questions if you want to, but I think I covered pretty much everything that I wanted to. When they give you context, take that as a blessing. When they give you multiple pages or maybe a couple different chapters, just choose anything you want, right? Read all through that so you have a good idea, again, of who you are as the narrator, what's happening, what the characters are doing. Take all of that into account and then use that to give your best performance. I think I already mentioned that, but I wanted to make sure that I did. All right, let's go back to... Oh, I still had my banner on the screen. Why don't you guys tell me that? You guys probably are. Angela, take that off the screen so I can see what the heck you're sharing. Sorry, I haven't had enough coffee yet today. Okay, so let's go over to the comments and see if anybody has any questions. I think also in terms of frequency, how often you should audition, I think auditioning is the best way to, is one of the best ways to market yourself on sites like ACX. Again, if you don't get a job, that just means, or it doesn't necessarily mean that you stink or your audio quality stinks, right? It's the authors have a particular kind of voice or tone in their head as they're writing these things. And when they're listening through auditions, they're looking for the voice that is the most close to that voice or tone that they had in their head, right? So to better your chances of winning a job, you have to audition more. You have to give yourself a better opportunity to cross paths with that author who's looking for your voice. So audition, audition, audition. Set yourself a goal, depending on your schedule and availability, of course, to audition a certain number of times a day, a week, a month, and make sure that you stick to that. In the off chance, because I have people ask me all the time, well, what happens if I get 3 jobs? How do I handle that? Well, here's how you handle that. In the order in which you get those offers, schedule them back to back to back. Some authors can wait. They would prefer and appreciate the fact that you're giving each title its time to get done and not rush through, right? Some of them will actually wait for you to finish the book that you're doing, and then you could start theirs like the following month or something. Give yourself more time than you need to get an audiobook done, especially in the beginning, because it will take you a little bit more time to complete an audiobook in the beginning. Because as I mentioned before, it's going to take anywhere from 2 to 6, 7 hours per finished hour in the beginning. So give yourself extra time to get these books done, and then just schedule them back to back to back, right? So don't hit the brakes on auditioning if you get one book. If you want, you can, I guess you could slow it down a little bit, but you want to keep books sort of in the pipeline, right? So you have work back to back to back. I think that was everything I wanted to say. Let's go over to the comments. So the first comment was from Hot Pink Bear. Hello, Hot Pink Bear. I have not auditioned yet, as I am still trying to perfect my space, learn my DAW, and pace myself in reading. That, for me, is the tricky part. the pacing. It absolutely is, especially if you are a book nerd, much like myself, and read a lot. We read fast, right? And then translating that to reading out loud, you just naturally read fast, out loud. So it is a little bit, it does take practice to make sure that you're slowing down enough because the listener is not following along with you. Just you have to remember that. They're not following along with you with the words as you're reading the book. They can't see what you see. So you have to slow down a little bit, 75 to 50% as you're reading. That is definitely one of the tricky parts. Practice, practice, practice. Joya's here. Hey, Joya. I'm still the oddball and don't feel I need to audition for my own books as the author. I think I got the job nailed. LOL. Well, of course you do. But that being said, I've submitted mock auditions for the Platinum Group. Yes, you have. And they're always a treat to listen to. They're always a treat to listen to. Actually, you just reminded me of something. I know you are really good at sound design and things, so you just brought up a good point for auditions. ACX mentions on their website, particularly about samples and auditions, is to not add any music or sound effects to your samples or to your auditions because let me just say that they strongly advise against it because it's distracting to the listener. And I think some authors or even casting directors will sometimes even think that you're using music or sound effects to cover up bad audio. So you don't want to give that impression. You want to be clear. You want to sound great, make a great first impression with that audition or the sample. That just came to mind. Thank you for reminding me, Joya. Glowen says, good afternoon, Angela and chat. I only audition a few times per week due to a full-time day job. If and when I hit my target of 1K a month, I'll adapt my schedule to add time to VO work. That's great. That's great. I mean, do what you can, right? Do what you can in the time that you have. Glowen says, now, how the heck are y'all? Your coffee? No, coffee's not hot. It's sort of room temperature at this point, but it's still coffee. I'll drink it. Snacks ready while you take your break from VO to watch a VO Angela's show. Yes, snacks. That's what we need. We need snacks. Rick Hall voiceover says, good cold morning to everyone. Don't have coffee, but the hot tea is doing its job this morning. It is cold out there. Not so much where I'm at, but it's cold out there in the rest of the U.S., I think. Glowen says, it's a balmy 30 degrees Fahrenheit for all you south of the border. Snow flurries again today with a stiff north wind, making it feel much colder. Wow. Pamela is in helicopter hell. Oh, that's still going on. I'm so sorry, Pam. Good morning to you. I hope your coffee or your tea is hot. Dylan said, good morning, all. I only audition for books when I'm done with the book I'm working on at that time. Full-time job doesn't allow me to work on multiple books at a time. And I don't advise working on multiple books at a time if you can. But sometimes you get into that position, right? And having more work is not necessarily a bad thing. But if you can schedule them appropriately, then definitely have more books in queue. Dylan. MG Stevens is here. Good morning, MG Stevens. Good morning, Angela and everyone. Typically, I do 2 or 3 audiobook auditions every day. That's a good habit. Good for you. Rustic Hillbilly is here. Good morning from a sunny Oregon, finally. I'm surprised. It's like, well, that's not true. When I visit, it's sometimes sunny. Dylan says, I'm lucky, though. I've only done 35 auditions and gotten 10 offers. That's a pretty good return on investment. A time investment. That's great, Dylan. That's a good ratio. Glowen says to Dylan, it sounds like you're auditioning for books made for your voice. Still working on that part. Tiff Stella reads, hey, Tiff. Hi, Angela. Worked closed today because we're buried in snow. Ha ha. My question is, do you believe the entrepreneurial world is oversaturated? And do you have any tips for standing out? I don't think it's very overwhelming, and I can see where this question comes from. I mean, just any kind of social media that you're looking at, everybody is advertising for something entrepreneurial, right? But I think a lot of people are leaving the corporate world too. So everyone's out looking for a way to stay at home. From what I have seen, or, create your own business. I wouldn't say that it's oversaturated. I think tips for standing out are to just be visible, because ACX even mentions that in that same blog we were just looking at. You can't create a website and expect everybody to come flocking to your door. They don't know you're there. So you have to make yourself visible. And there, to Tiff's point, there's a lot of that already out there in all different walks of entrepreneurship. So there's a lot of people looking for the eyeballs that are on social media, namely the short little bite-sized videos, right? I mean, you yourself, if you're on social media, you're looking at the videos, you're looking at 30-second, minute, 3-minute long videos, looking for either A, information, B, distraction, or C, research on something, right? Well, I guess that could be information. But a lot of people are looking at these short little videos. So I say, make short videos, make content, right? And just to be consistent with it. Gary Vee always says it doesn't have to be quality, it just has to be consistent, right? Find something different. That is the rub, right? Find something different and make content about it and make it consistent to stand out. It's hard to find what that could be, though. I'll have to think about that. Mary HPVO says, good morning. It is SCal cold here. Not going to pretend it's that cold, but for me, freezing. It's cold out there, y'all. Dylan says to Glow, and I think that's a big part of it. I typically only audition for the books that I feel are a good fit. I find that works better for me than a shotgun approach. I would agree, Dylan. I would agree. I don't think that a shotgun approach, meaning you just pick a bunch of books and audition for them. For example, if the rights holder is specifically looking for, like that one that we looked at, looking for a male narrator, if you're a female, maybe not, right? I would stick first with what is a good fit for you, something that you might enjoy narrating, because that's going to come through in your performance if you're enjoying what you're doing, right? Facebook user, this is Colette. Good morning, Colette. Morning, everybody. How much time should you be spending preparing 50 to 60 auditions a week? 50 to 60 auditions a week is quite a bit. But if you're doing, I guess, 8, 9, 10 a day, that time is going to be different for everybody, I think. But I think, again, reading through the content or the context of what you were given to prepare for that audition, maybe read it out loud a couple times. Make sure you have a firm understanding of what is going on. Maybe double checking the title on Amazon, doing your due diligence to research the author, to make sure that it is a legit title. I mean, ACX, they do what they can to make sure that they don't have any, scammers, I hate to say, on there, but, it doesn't hurt to do your own due diligence to make sure that you're working with the legit copy or the rights holder. And then perhaps I would say, reading it out loud a few times and then recording it, but then it's hard to not get into the overthinking stage. And I think that's probably bordering on what your question is. We don't want to overthink it too much, because then we'll take 5 hours to submit a singular audition. And by that time, there's a good chance you might have even lost out on the opportunity to audition. So I would say, as soon as you see something that you think is a fit and something you would enjoy narrating, download that script or open it up online, read through it a few times, pick a selection if it's a big chunk to narrate as the audition, 2 to 3 minutes max, and give it your best first go. I usually find that my first instinct is the best, because then I start to overthink, well, what if I did, what if I did this too much, or what if that wasn't enough? And just submit it. Just submit it. Because don't allow yourself to overthink too much, because then you'll spend way too much time with it or overdo it, Gregory says, my life is demanding that I keep it real, and one day complete with mastering is good. I tell myself that we're good with that. Yes. Um, yeah, again, we don't want to fall into the overthinking or striving for perfect, because everybody's definition of perfect is going to be different, right? There's no such thing as perfect. You have to get to where you're satisfied, I think. I thought I saw something pop up here. Was there there was a super chat. I'm sorry, Sean. I saw a little flash of something and then it disappeared. Thank you, Sean Lester. I appreciate that for the super chat. Sean says, do you ever start with the feeling, I just don't feel like doing this today? How do you escape the doldrums? I have, and I think a lot of people would agree with me. There are just some days where you just aren't feeling it, right? And I don't know necessarily if that is the best day to audition. That might be a day where you tell yourself, I need a break. I need to just give it a rest today. Maybe I don't know if that's like an introvert thing, that your battery is just completely depleted and you're just not up for it. But there are some days where you're just not mentally with it. And I think those are the days you should probably just relax, chill out, give yourself a break. But I know that we got to keep the income coming in. So I guess that's up to you at that point to either put a smile on your face and just get through it. But I'm afraid that even that might come through in the performance, maybe just the reluctance, or maybe you're just not 100% in it. So I would have to say on those days, that might be a day where you focus on editing and maybe not auditioning, because you really do want to put your best foot forward, because this is a first impression. An audition is a first impression. You want to grab their attention right away and keep it. Because as I always say, the rights holder, whoever's listening to the auditions, they're going to know if you're the right voice within the first few seconds of listening. So you want to make sure that that first few seconds is, that you're nailing it, of your interpretation of what it is that they're asking for. And I don't know if that's always going to come through if you're just not feeling it, right? But everybody's different. And some people might be like, I'm good. But for me, I would probably just edit that day or do something else, focus on my website or something else productive, just not auditioning. But that's me. Thank you again, Sean. I appreciate that. Mason Reconstruction says, I audition a lot on Upwork for voice work, but not so much on ACX. I prefer the shorter term work there, but take my hat off to all of you. Yeah, audiobooks are a marathon. Audiobooks are definitely a marathon for sure. And for those of you wondering, you can find audiobook work on Upwork as well. Facebook user, this is James Thompson. Good morning, James. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. And to answer the question, I haven't auditioned for any yet. Still setting up my studio space. Will post pictures of my progress later. Good. I love it when people are building their space and sharing pictures, because you never know if there's something that you're doing that could be just the thing that was perplexing to someone else, and they go, oh my God, that's genius. And that'll apply directly to what I'm doing and help me out so much. I love seeing pictures of people's building of their spaces. And if you haven't already picked up on the theme, your most important asset, or the most important thing to focus on in building this career, is your space, right? It's more important than, I think, the microphone you choose or anything else. Treat your space and get some training and practice a bunch. Those things are, I think, more important than the equipment that you have. Glowen says, this book, as a per finished hour offer, would it be beneficial to counter offer to say $200 per finished hour and royalties? I mean, you could. I mean, it wouldn't hurt. I would say don't ever be afraid to ask questions or to propose something else. Why not? Right? Why not? Joe says, have done over 100 auditions and gotten 5 offers. Glory. That's awesome. Good job, Joe. Brian says, good morning, all. Good morning to Brian. Brian's got a few himself. Mason Reconstruction, getting the whole book. If you were being asked to narrate Old Yeller, you might want to know that it ends badly for the dog. Seriously. Sometimes that could be hard for a narrator to get through. Yes, I have been I have produced a couple of audiobooks that were very tough to get through. And I think it is appropriate to let that emotion come through sometimes. I mean, if there's dialogue, for sure. But sometimes you just have to take a break. Those kinds of books, I would definitely give myself a few extra days to produce the book. Because as you know, if you cry or get upset, that's not only going to come through, but you're also going to be sniffly and, sinus. You might want to give yourself a few extra days for books like that. Brian says, I haven't been auditioning because I have books I'm working on. I know. You got your hands full right now, Brian. T-Nick says, I'm currently have issues with getting feedback on my auditions, which makes learning and growing difficult. I try to do at least 3 to 5 auditions a day, but haven't been able to lock any of them down. I would say, first, let me just say that it's rare that a rights holder will stop what they're doing and give each individual narrator feedback. You have to remember that they have potentially 100 auditions, 50, 100, 200 auditions on their book. They're not under any obligation to give you feedback, even if you ask for it. You're either the right voice or you're not. I have had some authors give me feedback unsolicited. I didn't ask for it, but they would give feedback. And I know there are other people that give feedback too, but we can't expect it. We can't expect them to, even if we ask nicely. So I think the best way to go about finding out if there is something to your auditions that's off-putting, just to double check to make sure that everything sounds great, if that is your concern, then I would get into a Facebook group like mine, the VO Workshop, where I allow you to post your demos to get feedback from, I think there's over 2,000 people in my Facebook group, all voice actors and audiobook narrators, and you can ask for feedback on your file. So then that way you can know for certain if there's something else you need to focus on fixing, or if everything's A-okay and you're just not the voice they were looking for, right? When you submitted the audition. So that's what I recommend that you should do, Nick, or to join like a workshop group, like a mastermind, and get live feedback from a group of people, like my platinum group. We do that all the time. Libby K says, tips for reducing sibilance as you speak into the mic. You can either learn to speak with your teeth a little further apart, which I have tried to do, which just really made me more articulate than I already was. Or you can invest in plugins that reduce sibilance, depending on your DAW. You might even have, like Adobe Audition, I'm sure Reaper and a few others have these too, but they have equalizers where you can isolate the sibilance frequency and reduce it. So depending on the DAW that you have, the digital audio workstation, i.e. recording software that you have, I would look up a video about reducing sibilance in your DAW on YouTube. There's a good chance that there's probably a video or two showing you how to reduce sibilance in your DAW. Dylan Holt says, I didn't think of auditioning as marketing. I may have to do a couple more now. Absolutely. Absolutely. You're making yourself known. And there's even a good chance that if you audition for a book and this rights holder has, maybe they're in the middle of writing a different book, another book, you might not be right for that book that you auditioned for, but you might be perfect for the book they're in the middle of, or the next one coming, or another project in the future. So I've heard that quite a few times too. So audition a lot. James Thompson says, good morning, everyone. Good morning, James. Glowen says to T-Nick, you 90%, 95% of the time will not get feedback from the RH or author, or our platinum group has a Discord page. You can pop it in there and get group feedback. If you're in my platinum group, the Discord is for my platinum group only. Brian Mark Mitchell says, does that 2 to 6 hour per finished hour include pre-production, highlighting dialogue and character creation? It could. It absolutely, definitely could. The prep time is also included in there too. For some people like Brian who have extensive spreadsheets on characters and things, then absolutely. But again, it all comes down to process, right? And how you can streamline your process as you go, right? So definitely, that's a great point. Unless you're like me and thrive in organized chaos, slightly organized chaos. JCCAOL says, I recently saw a video where Anthony Pica suggested recording using noise canceling headphones. He said you should avoid making a mistake. Has anyone ever tried this? I don't know about noise canceling headphones, but my headphones are closed back, which is meaning nothing else comes through. Whatever's coming through the speakers that's all you hear. Open back headphones have the ability to pick up sounds outside. I always choose a closed back, so I only hear in my ear what is going on or what is coming out of the speaker on the inside, nothing else from the ambient room around me. As far as noise canceling headphones, I have not heard that, nor do I know if that works. I've done just fine with my closed back headphones. I wouldn't know if that would be completely depending on, but those can be expensive too, right? If you're getting like noise canceling, high dollar studio headphones, but I don't think that's necessary. I think that's a little overkill, I guess is what I'm getting at. Might be a little overkill. James Thompson says, cold and icy here in Tennessee. I am still setting up my booth, so no auditions for me yet. Soon, though. Very soon. Good. I like it. T-Nick says to Glowen, really? That's awesome. What's the Discord name? The Discord is for my Platinum group only. It's a private group. Then T-Nick says, my thing right now is trying not to get discouraged. If you are not in my Facebook group, and again, my Facebook group is the VO Workshop, you are allowed to do that there. You are allowed to join my Facebook group and post demos for feedback. Brian says, I find that it takes a long time to create fiction auditions versus nonfiction auditions. So I can do a lot of nonfiction fast, but fiction, I have to decide on voices for different characters. And that does take time. And your spreadsheets would definitely come in handy. I think you should find a way to share those because they are in depth. And I wouldn't have the patience to create, spreadsheets like that. I think you should definitely find a way to share those. Glowen says to T-Nick, excuse me, I have the same problem. I record, hear the playback, and die a little inside. Start over, and then try to edit without destroying it. It's a problem that's on repeat for me. Glowen, that is completely, and T-Nick, that is completely normal. I was also in that same phase. Is that we hear our voices outside of our head and we are just way too critical of ourselves. If you want to know if there's something wrong, I hate to say it, but don't trust your own opinion in the beginning because you're going to be very, very critical of yourself. More critical than is necessary than anybody else. You're going to be super critical about everything. So what I would do is to record something, get it to ACX's standards, and then ask for feedback from your peers. Let them tell you if this is something you need to address or not. More often than not, it's not. We're just overly critical about everything we do, especially in the beginning, and that's completely normal. Dwight says, blowing my head in shame, or bowing your head in shame? I beg for forgiveness. Oh yeah, hatred, my tribute in donuts. Hello, Angela, my fellow. What, Platinum group? Angelinos? With my head bowed here on my tribute donuts. Where are those tribute donuts? I want some donuts. Facebook user, this is Colette. Do you spend a lot of time editing your audition? I do the same things on my audition as I would with anything else. I remove the retakes, take out any like errant mouth clicks that were not caught by my mouth click remover. Adjust the head and the tail, meaning that it's ACX compliant. Just listen through it just to make sure that the dog next door isn't barking in the background or something. But I'm not going to be overly critical about it. I'm not. I can't be, because that is a dangerous thing to get stuck in, because you'll never submit the audition. You'll do it, you'll do it again, you'll do it again, and then you'll just go, oh, forget it. I'm never going to be good enough. Don't do that to yourself. Just give it your best go. Make sure it's ACX compliant and send it. Right? Dwight says, got my lumber and insulation starting replacement booth build tomorrow. Winter storm today got in the way. I bet. T-Nick says to Glowen, same. I can record something over and over and hate how much I did it each time. I get mad at myself because it takes so much of my time that I could be used in a more productive way. Exactly. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. If you really truly think that you have a problem somewhere in either your performance or the audio quality itself, your room, again, get feedback from your peers. That's the best way to go. That way you not only get one perspective, but you get multiple. Maybe somebody else heard something that somebody else didn't, right? And I think most of the people in my group, and every time I've seen somebody post a demo, it's been constructive criticism, but you're asking for it, right? And I know it's a scary thing to ask people that you've never met before for what you're doing wrong or what they think of your demo. But I think ultimately we've all been in that place. So we all understand where you're coming from. And we truly, truly want to help. We want to help you. So get feedback from your peers. It's the best thing you can do. Or, I mean, of course, get a mentor or a coach and join a mastermind group. But at the very least, get feedback from your peers. Ryder Dude. Hey, Ryder Dude. Good morning. Just popping in for a minute. Had to grab an extra shift at the job today. I'll catch the replay tonight. Team replay. Facebook user, this is Colette. Regarding crying through Old Yeller, if you cry, you give your reader a chance to stop taking the ride with you. Not only will it interrupt your flow, it'll pull your reader out of the story. It gives your reader permission to shift into a distracted, uncomfortable frame of mind. I mean, if you're narrating old, you don't literally want to cry, but I mean, you could hear sorrow in your voice, right? I don't mean literally cry as you're narrating a book. Chrissy Sal says, hopped on late. Hey, Chrissy, how you doing? Good morning. I've been bad about auditioning lately. In the beginning, I did at least one per day. The past few months, I've done about 10 total. And sometimes life gets in the way, and that's okay. Do what you can when you can. Sometimes other things take precedence, and that's okay. T. Nick says, I've gotten a few responses from rights holders thanking me for auditioning, but I wasn't picked. They say that they will keep me in mind for future projects. That's a good thing. It is absolutely a good thing. And when they say something like this to you, definitely respond with a thank you so much for your time. I appreciate the time that you took to let me know this. And I look forward to working with you in the future. If you have any questions, make yourself a resource, right? But thank them for their time. Professionalism. Joy West says, hi, Angela, from frozen Southfield, Michigan. I know, it's crazy over there right now. It's only 12 degrees here with a wind chill of -1. Wow, that's cold. Joya says, noise canceling headphones produce a counter sound. That's what I was thinking, to remove the sound. That noise they produce will be picked up in your recording. They work for music, not standard VO. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, for confirming my inner dialogue. Robert Reed says, I am here. Sorry I wasn't there last Thursday. That's okay, Robert. I mean, again, life gets in the way. Do what you got to do. But I'm glad you're here. I hope you brought the donuts. If you're late, you bring donuts. Brian says, I'm having a problem with the spreadsheet. Oh, no. Oh, no. Chrissy Sell says, oh, I hate hearing my own voice. You know what? You have a beautiful voice, Chrissy. And I still am the same way. I still hate the sound of my own voice, but I've gotten used to it. I have, just by hearing it so much. I've gotten used to it. It is what it is, right? But it's not bad. Gregory says, the Platinum Group is worth the investment all the way around. I've gotten fantastic feedback and learned quite a bit over the past year. The Platinum Group is home. Oh, Gregory. You're amazing, Gregory. Thank you for that. I love my group. Robert says, I have not auditioned yet, and right now my studio space is too cold even in my home. Yeah, it's tough because in the summer you need to be recording in your swimsuit, and in the winter you're layered and bundled, and It's not fun. Masonry says, my point is not to get stuck with doing physical things, which do not require audio skills, like building a studio first, create actual audio, be a storyteller, practice while you build. Absolutely. Great points. Dylan says to Chrissy, your voice is awesome. See? Getting over that is hard, though. I've just recently started loving my own voice. You should, Dylan. You both have very unique, beautiful voices. Joy says, I am so guilty of being the harshest critic of hearing my own recordings. I guess it's hard not to do. Plus, I got the perfectionist issue big time, and it eats up my time. I could totally see that, Joy. I could totally see that. But you do get used to hearing it. You do. And you sort of move past at some point being so hard on yourself. I know it's hard to do. But if you're going to embrace the life and responsibilities and everything about being a voice actor, you have to find a way to move past it, right? Robert says overthinking is my problem also, but I need to get myself out there. Absolutely. Bear says taking your advice, Angela, and I will be recording in my sound room budget build and posting it to your Facebook page. Good. Got the mic and just need to finish the room. Awesome. Love to see those. Dylan says to Robert, I feel you. My space is unheated and it's 9 degrees here. I use the space heater for 2 hours before I need to record and then shut it off. Do what you got to do, man. Chrissy Sells says, thanks, Dylan. You have a great voice. You're always fun to listen to. He is. JCC AOL says, in regards to what Masonry Construction said, there have been a few books like Old Yeller, A Corner of the Universe, and Triumph. I would have a tough time recording. Yeah. You need to give yourself extra time for books like those. Brian says to Glowen, I found that reading out loud for live audiences gave me immediate feedback in how I read, and it gave me the confidence to even start this VO journey. Reading out loud in front of other people is definitely helpful. And that's another reason why we do that in my Platinum group with what I call the roulette read every second Thursday of the month, where we sort of analyze the scripts and then read out loud for each other so we can get immediate feedback on what we're doing, and then also maybe get some tips to help grow and further our learning curve on whatever it is that we're reading. They're helpful in many ways. And not only that, but people listening can pick up little tips to apply for their own situation too. Reading aloud for other people is definitely advantageous for sure. Glowen says to Brian, I have looked locally for places that are seeking readers to no avail, though. A friend recommended this solution for me a while ago. Small town like mine is a problem. Well, then you need to find a group online, a mastermind online, where you can read for live feedback. They're out there. Brian says, read for the schools or church. Oh, that's a good point, too. Robert Reed says, of course, Donuts. Our Thursday group is awesome. A lot of talent, and the group is so helpful in helping. Yes. Yes, they are. I'm sorry, I got to get through these comments fast. I have a meeting in about 7 minutes. So I got to go quickly. But Brittany says, I just bought a heated jacket. Oh, that's cool. Waiting for it to arrive to find out if it makes any noise when recording. Keep us posted, Brittany. Keep us posted. Joya says, how come no one's tapping the like button? 2 likes and 37 people. Not good for the algorithm. Thumbs up. Thank you, Joya. Yes, please like if you can. And if you're watching this in team replay, then consider subscribing. It really does help my algorithm and helps to show my content to other people just getting started out. It does help. It helps not just me, but everyone looking for this information. So thank you for that, Joya. Glowen says, a side note for those of you in cold studios, cold temps will cause a lot of reverb. Something else to worry about. Great. Gregory says, oh, by the way, I got things fixed in the sound closet. Mic is back to 44/100 bit. The richness has returned. Excellent. Eric. Hey, Eric, you lurking today? Just tap the like button. Good morning. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate that. I'm so looking forward to seeing you guys on Thursday. And for my Platinum group, we're going to be reviewing Fiverr gigs on Thursday. So make sure that you work on yours, get it published so I can see it on my side. And then we'll review those together as a group. But thank you, everybody, for joining today. I do have to get going to a meeting, so I appreciate the time that you spent with me today. If you're watching this in the replay, then please, if you have any questions about anything I talked about today, or if you have a suggestion for something that you'd like to talk about as a group next Tuesday, then please also put those in the comments below. I appreciate that. All right, guys. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody next week. And until then, don't forget to audition. Set a goal. Audition X amount of number of times a day, a week, a month, whatever it is, but make sure that you stick to that goal. And am I forgetting anything? I'll see y'all next week. If I forgot anything, let me know. My stomach's growling. Bye, guys.